I have a bright idea. I want to be a rural entrepreneur, generating money for me and providing employment to a number of people. What do I need? Money. Term loans are available to me at 60% per annum. Working capital, 10% per day. Obviously, my venture is going to get nowhere. The way to break this impasse, which is preventing economic growth in rural areas, is to bring the formal modern banking system accessible to such entrepreneurs in rural areas. And this means we need to develop a model by which banks can serve such sections of people in a manner that is cost effective. We wanted to build an ATM machine which can operate in areas where there is no bank branch and can break even at much lower volumes of transaction, much lower values of transaction.
We realized that there is a 700 million strong population which lives in the semi-urban and rural areas, and there is a lack of healthcare facilities there. So we decided to invest in developing healthcare facilities in semi-urban and rural areas.
We basically work with people with disabilities in technology and help people who are disabled to be able to use a computer, as well as help companies to make products which can be used by people with disabilities.
Servals manufacture Venus energy efficient kerosene burners. The rural population use kerosene stoves for their cooking needs. So there is a large requirement of burners. We have redesigned the existing burner to offer energy efficiency. There is a 30% saving in the kerosene consumption. This is a very important thing, particularly for the rural household, because they spend a lot of money, time to procure kerosene.
This village particularly, it's a very notorious village for illicit arak brewing and that related violence and other thing. One of the primary activity of our trust is to stop that and rehabilitate the men from that illicit activity. And when we were searching for opportunities, then this Servals cooperation for this burner production, it has become a very good livelihood activity for them.
When only my husband used to work, he had to borrow money to make ends meet. Now that I am working, we are financially more comfortable and my children are also going to school.
If somebody in the family falls sick in a small town, they have to travel to a larger place to avail treatment. So what happens is when they travel, they not only spend on the hospitals, they spend on the travel, on staying there, and most importantly, loss of wages. So they lose that day's salary. What we do is we provide that service at their doorstep. So they save on all these associated costs.
Within the Indian framework, people with disabilities are not considered, and there is a discrimination which exists if they are not given an equal opportunity, which is the area that we are targeting.
Being a human being, you also feel inferior at times, like why am I deprived? If I want to learn and I have the ability to learn, or I want to put in my time into it, why can't I do it?
Within the Indian framework, there is no other company providing the service within India. There are a few NGOs that talk about accessibility, but their knowledge of technology is relatively limited.
Before desert artisans, the craftsmen would once in a while go to the cities to sell their wares. And some of them had gone into construction because they won't get orders or business. We go to their villages, give them the material and regular orders, and pay them on time as well. This has not only encouraged them to stay with handicrafts, but has led to prosperous lives as well. Before, we had to measure milk manually in the old liter system and then had to write it down on the record book and keep long, complicated records. After Akash Ganga, We don't have to do any of that. Everything is entered into the computer. It saves time and effort. The electronic weighing scale automatically feeds the correct weight into the computer. And now we can pay on the spot, which is something we couldn't do before.
With some very early stage funding, we were able to develop a prototype which shows that we have a product that can work. Aavishkar's intervention at that point was very timely, and it has helped us to reach where we are. Where we can now say that a month from now we are on the field.
I think one of the key advantages that Aavishkaar has brought to us is that by bringing in the funding as an institutional investor, they have sort of validated our concept. That is the biggest advantage they bring in. Secondly, having been an investee of Aavishkaar allows us to go out and speak to bigger players today. And then we have reached a stage where we can go out and speak to bigger VCs. They've been working with us since to scale up the business from the existing 3 units to 10 units.
We had not thought through most of the things, and the kind of questions that were put across and then the probing that went through during the due diligence did help, like realize some of the things that we had overlooked. And they have been as in asking some good questions, some difficult ones, but then in the process, while trying to answer these questions, you realize as in a lot of things that you had not thought through or should have catered to in the first place.
Aavishkaar helped us largely with funding, and even more so with, I think, their review meetings, where they actually helped us bounce ideas off us, make us think a little straight and think of the processes and what we really needed to do to grow.
Thanks to Aavishkar's support, we can now increase our business even further, go into more villages, in the interiors, and help increase employment for artisans. Before, we were like frogs in a well. We would travel 40 kilometers every day, go and sell and come back. We had no idea that the world out there wanted the products we make.
Major contribution is funding. They are 49% equity partners. They also have a passion to have some impact. They have always been putting us in various type of people, so that the networking was growing. That is why we have been able to grow global. In as much as we got in touch with various types of people who have a equally important mandate as energy conservation, like-minded NGOs who would like carry them a message. So money from Aavishkaar came more as a motivation of our social entrepreneurship. There is a lot of organization potential with various people, but they don't know how to express it in terms of a social entrepreneurship impacting the society and the world.
In 5 years' time, we expect to put up roughly about 100 hospitals covering 100 districts, with the direct target population of about 2.5 million customers.
Around 2 crores of burners are being used, both for original equipment and replacement. So we are now making about 20 to 30,000 burners per month. We are planning to, maybe by this year end, we should touch about 1 lakh of pieces per month, which would mean we will be hopefully covering 10% of the total market by the year end.
In 2 years' time, we see ourselves as majorly into the field of accessibility, with about at least 70 odd disabled people working with us, if not more. We see us providing services in the international arena as well as in the Indian market, making a difference with the government to a large extent and helping them see that providing something like this would actually be equal opportunity for all.